going on, guys? Today we have Gareth Raflewski on for another online chat. Gareth joining in from London, so not too far down the road from us. Gareth's been a long-time ambassador, big friend of the brand. So first off, Gareth, we appreciate you jumping on here and taking the time.
No, thank you very much. I have been a Foresight, ambassador for a long time, but also I think my unit was it was in the hundreds. I think I had 100 and something was the unit that I first had. And before that they had given me a loaner unit to try out. So yeah, I've been a big fan of Foresight for a long time.
That's awesome. That's actually, yeah, this is one of the second interviews where our ambassador's same thing. He's one of the first 100 units ever to be produced. And now we're at I don't know, 15,000 or so. We still get the serial numbers and they're coming in pretty high, but it's great to see. And obviously speaks to yourself being in the industry for quite a long time. I know the quad came out back in 2016, 2017. But for yourself, do you mind sort of sharing how you got into golf, your life in golf, and then where it's taken you and what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I always loved played from a young age. 13, I kind of started, was fairly decent young, and then wanted to pursue golf. My parents convinced me that I should get an education and go to university instead. So I did that, went to university and did engineering at school. And after I graduated, I worked as an engineer, but I just had the bug for golf. So I left a good paying job for a minimum wage in a pro shop. My parents thinking that seems like an odd thing to do, but when you've got the bug for golf, it's just hard to get away from it, and I knew I wanted to be involved in it. Didn't really know kind of what capacity that would be in, whether more the club route or more teaching. I always enjoyed teaching and being around the game and just helping people. So just started, getting in. I moved to London. I moved from Canada, from the UK over to London. Worked at a club here, and just kind of fell in love with being over here in this side of the pond, and just started teaching a lot, right? And then the more I taught, the more people would come to me. And then it was a few years into that I kind of decided that if I was going to kind of make a bigger splash, I kind of needed to have a bit of a niche, so I decided that I would focus more on short game and putting. At that time, Sean Foley wasn't even on tour full time. He was still working at Glen Abbey. But there was just so many, even in Ontario here, there's so many great coaches around. And, if I was going to stand out, I had to do something different. So for me, I was probably one of the very first short game and putting guys, and from that day, I just stopped paying any attention to full swing. I just literally didn't do anything because it just wasn't where I was trying to get to. And that was just taking me, through all the different realms of working with good players, good amateurs, to LPGA, to PGA Tour, and having a lot of good success doing that there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know it's been a long time, as you said. And as a former engineer, do you find that I've golfed with a couple engineers, and I find them to be very systematic, even in their swing and everything they do. And it's funny to see it translate into golf. Do you find that being an engineer, maybe the way your mind is wired, is that why maybe the short game or just coaching came to you more fluidly?
Yeah, probably, and I also think that when I was trying to play, because I spent a few years trying to play as a pro as well, and I tried to treat everything very systematic, and I'm more like an engineer, and it was very, very good in one respect, because you become very organized and you can plan and map and do lots of good stuff, but the fluidness of playing golf is taken away by being so systematic and not having any feel or any touch. So as much as it's good, it's also a huge hindrance as well, and to be able to go and kind of do it wrong has been really helpful for me now in my coaching, because I do look at things and I like things organized, but I also understand that you need a bit of feel and touch, and you need, just a bit of memory and experience of going out and playing, and not just sort of, A plus B gives you the answer, there's a lot more that goes into it. So I think my coaching has been very much changed, from being quite analytical to being a bit more, with the psychology being so important in golf in terms of performance, using kind of all of those aspects. And that's why, we've got foresight to measure, but we also have some of these other things that are maybe not as measurable, but when we put things together, then we get some, good results.
Yeah, definitely. I know for me, especially on the short game side of things, I feel like that's the most mental part of the game. Because I always say, like, if I gave you a club and said hit it 150 yards, you'd be like, okay, give me this club. Give me my 9-iron, I'll hit it 4 or whatever. But come wedges, putters, for me specifically, I'm not great at the short game. But if you say hit a 45-yard foot putt or a 45-yard chip, it's not just a full swing. And that's when in my head I'm like, okay, mentally, is the pace correct? Is the contact correct? And there's so many little bits of things that come in, that add into it. And mentally, it's the hardest part to sort of hone in on and dial in on, I find. Do you, with you coaching beginners to top pros in the world, do you have any, maybe one piece of advice to a beginner and a pro that you'd give, not a swing tip, but just a piece of advice for the beginner and then the pro golfer?
Yeah, so a lot of players will struggle with decision fatigue where, they're over a certain shot and they just don't know what to do, right? They think I should play this shot or I should play this shot. So I would say that one of the things that we should all do, and the way that I think about short game, is that I teach people different shots. So if you were saying to me, hey, this is a shot I struggle with the most, I would teach you that shot. So the next time you get on the golf course, you're automatically going to know how to do that shot. So you're not going to get caught with that decision fatigue where you're, should I do this? Should I bump it? Should I, there's a million different things. And as a beginner, they just probably don't know what to do. For a good player who knows how to do everything, this is a huge problem because they'll often pick the wrong shot. So getting them and having one or two different options for them on a round of golf makes it very easy for them. It's either this shot or this shot, and that allows them to execute shots a lot easier and have a lot more success and a lot more fun on the golf course because they're not using all that mental capacity that they don't really need.
Yeah, 100%. I like it. I sort of semi-followed that tip there. I took out my 60-degree wedge this summer because I was trying to do too much with it. I was going, okay, do I take this 52, 56, 60? Do I like bump it? Do I put it up high? I was doing that way too often. And every side of the green, giving myself too many options. And so I ended up just taking it out completely. I said, okay, these are your two options. You can either bump it or just try to chip it on and let it roll out.
Such a smart thing to do, and more people would just benefit from having, one or two options. Like two options is nice, because it's either this or that, right? And away you go. And it makes the game so much easier for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. And, actually getting back to the start of it, is there a specific person who sort of got you into the game of golf, or was it yourself just going out, you got a passion quickly, or was it a parent, a grandparent that got you in first?
My two uncles played a little bit, and then I had really good teachers at my school that they had a little golf team and stuff, that they kind of pushed us into doing, and we were really well supported. And we had a very good junior program at my home club. Like the town I grew up in was only about 20,000 people, but every Thursday morning we had probably 100 kids out there playing a little competition every Thursday morning in the summertime. And they would we didn't have a pro at the club. There wasn't a big enough club that they would bring in a pro from time to time just to give us a few tips and a few lessons. But I think being in an environment where so many kids are out there playing and your friends are out there playing, we just lived on the golf course, and in the UK and Ireland where I grew up, it was £50 to become a member for the year. So it was the cheapest babysitter in the whole world for your parents, right? But I think it's a shame we don't have more of those environments where kids can get out and play and practice with a lot of kids the same level as them at a cheap price.
Yeah, definitely. Do you find coming to Canada, obviously it's golf is a growing sport, but have you seen it become sort of cyclical? When it comes to like kids getting into it, have you seen it always sort of, is it growing in your mind? Because I know for me, I grew up always just hockey focused. All of our friends were hockey focused, and golf was maybe something we did for fun. But have you seen the game growing within Canadian youth as well?
Yeah, it's massive, right? Obviously, I see a lot of young girls getting into the game, and I think that's a lot to do with the dads. You know, it's very popular with guys in their 20s, 30s, 40s, right? And the dads want to get their kids into it. You know, so you get all these a lot of really good young girls coming through, and I think boys probably have, like you said, more options. You know, so they're already into hockey and some different things, so maybe that doesn't follow through as much for them. But on the girls side, because of the dad influence, I think we're seeing a lot of young girls coming to the game, and we see a lot of young 20-year-olds coming to the game as well and having great days out. And you can see how the environment's changing out in the golf course. You know, more people are playing music, and it's getting to be a little bit more of a fun hangout. And there's still a place for the country club style, but you definitely see that younger vibe coming in and them looking for a slightly different experience when they're coming to the golf course.
Yeah, definitely. I like and with these young kids, or any golfer in general, any tips you have for the mental side of the game? Because I know as a young golfer, it's a stressful game. You have good days and bad days, and sometimes the gap in between is massive. So any like mental tips that you like to give to your players and who you're coaching?
I think the big thing is to have a clear plan of how you're getting better. I think we only get frustrated whenever we feel like we're almost a bit lost. Like if you're out there and you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore, right? Am I working on this? Am I doing so I think if you work with a good PGA professional who can give you a long-term plan, like the worst thing we see sometimes is, people will often come for lessons and, maybe an inexperienced pro might say, hey, well, what do you want to work on today? We should already know, like if you've done a proper assessment for the player, you should already know, no matter what level the player is at, what their 3 month, 6 months, 9 month, 12-month plan is going to be. So they know exactly what they're doing. So if they have a bad day, they often will start to understand why they've had a bad day, and they'll start to be able to self-correct, because our goal is not to be their coach forever, to pass on the information so that they can become good coaches themselves, and self-regulate some of the things that are happening to them on the golf course. But, I'd say a lot of people who are sort of losing their focus or losing that there are just a little bit inexperienced, and they haven't got enough coaching and have a plan in place.
Yeah, 100%. And was there any coach that maybe got you into, like you said, growing the coaching side of yourself? Was there a coach or a professional that influenced you in your journey?
I think there's lots of people, even there's people online. There's people that I see doing different things that have been really good. To be honest, I think the biggest influencer in my coaching is by doing it. Like the first year I became kind of really busy as a coach, I did about 1,200 lessons that summer. Right. So when you start to really ramp up and do and you get a lot of opportunity to be one-on-one with people, I think that becomes the best coach that you possibly have, because you can see what's actually working, what's not working. And to this day, I still find it's one of the best things for me. If I get out and I'm teaching a lot, I'll be able to test some of my theories and some of the things that I've been working on. And I think as coaches, we don't know exactly the perfect system, but we definitely know all the wrong things that don't work. So we try to steer people away from that and move them in towards a direction that's at least positive.
Yeah, and with those players you've coached over the year, and like you said, just building them up, having that plan. Is there any moments that really stick out to you as like some of your favorite moments from like the production of a student that you've coached for years and sort of where they got to? Obviously, I know there's going to be a couple that I could almost name, but are any stories that come to the top of mind?
There's little ones, people wouldn't even know. Like I have a 9-year-old girl at the minute, or she was 9-year-old when I first met her, Selena Yo. She's 16 now. She played her first, she qualified and played her first LPGA event in at the Canadian Open this year, which is really cool. There's players that I've had who just got on tour and are now multiple major winners, and have won 10, 12 times on the LPGA Tour. There's starting to work with people who are already fairly accomplished, like a Nick Taylor. and seeing him win, the Canadian Open, and become, the player that he has become, right? So there's lots of things, and there's lots of things even where I have a member that, never broke 90 before, and now they're shooting in the mid 70s, so for me, I just like coaching, right? It doesn't matter who it is. It's if somebody wants to get better, I'm excited to help them and work through that. And there's no difference to the levels, whether it's a tour pro or whether it's an amateur. It's just they've a bit more pros, a bit more time to work on the game, than the AMs do. But we're all driven to try to get a bit better, right? And that's the fun part.
Yeah, 100%. I guess you'd have a lot of pride in other people's games, no matter who it is. It's like you said, if somebody who's just breaking 90 for the first time, it's almost just as meaningful to you as someone, winning on the LPGA Tour, the PGA Tour, which is just cool. And obviously you get to coach a lot of different people and experiences all walks of golf life, I guess, which is awesome. And then, just to get into probably some more personal stuff, not as golf related, but outside of golf, how would you spend your time? Are you always golf focused, or what do you like to do away from the course and away from coaching?
I'm fairly addicted to golf. Yes, I am. I have to admit it. But no, I have my wife and three young kids. So I have a 5, 7, and 9-year-old. So we're very busy, family, doing lots of different things. My middle guy just turned around to me the other day. He goes, "Dad, I'm going to be a professional golfer." And I was like, "Well, we could do something else, right?" So I'm trying to steer him away from golf, because I think just being around me and around golf and tournaments and stuff, they get used to seeing that. And it was funny. I brought one of them to a little par 3 course, one of the first times we brought him, and he says, "Yeah, it's nice, but like, where's all the people?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's no crowds around him," because he was so used to going to big golf tournaments with me that he didn't realize that there's no crowds out there. So, so I'm busy with the family, right, and we're having a lot of fun with them, doing lots of different things. But I do spend a lot of time thinking about golf and interacting, and I have a lot of pros all around the world, so I spend a lot of time on phone calls and chatting with them, making sure they're doing, and online stuff. So, but it's all stuff that you enjoy doing, right? And if you enjoy doing it, it really doesn't seem like work.
Yeah, 100%. And are you getting out? Like, how many rounds would you be golfing a year?
Yeah, I love golfing, but I don't get to play as much. I think probably this year I'm probably low. I'm probably only about 15 times this year out. So, but it's kind of like, I kind of joke even with my members, if you see me around, I got fired a bunch on tour. So, and if you don't see me around, I'm still getting hired. So it's one of those things, I'm busy, and I've lots of people looking to come and spend time with me. So I'm very fortunate that way. So I'm taking advantage of that. And I'm sure at some stage there'll be a new coach and somebody else doing it differently and better. And, so I'll take advantage of spending time with people and helping them out at the minute. And hopefully at some stage I'll get to work on my game a little bit too.
Yeah, I like it. I know we get that answer a lot. The less golf I'm playing is probably a better sign, is what most of our ambassadors saying. Because like yourself, it means you're busy doing the right thing and not focused on your own game, but doing what you need to do. And then we'll get into some like rapid fire questions, some short ones, to try to get some fun answers here. But best golf memory to date for yourself, whether it's a course you got to play, a hole in one, a foursome, or just any event.
Best golf memory. That's a good one. It's probably something super simple. It's probably back home in Ireland playing with the boys, on a Saturday, right? Just, something simple. It's not anything that's and I'm spoiled because I get to go to all these really cool places, right? So, the going away and playing, maybe Royal Portrush for the day is kind of one of my, all-time favorite things to do with some friends.
Yeah, awesome. And is there a favorite course you've ever played?
Me, I am a big fan of Royal Portrush. I was a member at Portstewart for years, so I love the front nine at Portstewart. I think it's probably one of the best nines anywhere. But even the course that I'm at the minute, Riverbend in London, Ontario, like I just love the golf course. It's just a great golf course. The superintendent's amazing there. The greens are always fast. So it really, for someone who enjoys putting, it's a real fun test for that there. But yeah, I'm prone to links golf. If there's a number of golf courses, Portmarnock and even Donegal Golf Club, Merva, which we call it up in the north there. So yeah, I like a lot of stuff over there.
Awesome. Another one, are you superstitious or not superstitious?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so like I only like at ball markers. I use a blue and a yellow one, and if it doesn't work the first time, then I switch to the yellow one, and then it alternates. And there's a heads and tails thing that happens as well. So yeah, there's a few things there that I do for no real reason.
Yeah, same here. I would fall down that alley as well. Would you take an early morning tee time or go for the late afternoon?
Early morning. Yeah, I have 3 kids that are alarm clocks at 6 a.m. So I'm already up and at it. So yeah, we'll take an early tea time. But I think there's nothing better also than playing a little late 9. That's always nice too.
Yeah, definitely. And then if there's what sport would you play or coach if it wasn't golf?
I would probably. That's a good one, right? I'd probably be soccer.
Soccer?
Right? Yeah. If it wasn't golf, I'm sure my kids will be starting to get into that stuff now. So I'm sure we'll be out playing soccer or football, right?
Yeah, I love it. And then final one, just something you're looking forward to in 2026.
Me, I'm looking forward to. What am I looking forward to in 2026? That's a good one, right? I haven't really thought about that there. Oh, I'm opening a new indoor facility, which is going to be really geared around coaching, not just elite players, but players that just want to get better with more long-term plans. So we're, give a plug to Foresight. We're putting Foresight technology in there. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to opening a new indoor facility in London here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to help out all this. So set you up with the right equipment, have some fun with it, and looking forward to the future. So, we appreciate it. Gareth, everyone, that was Gareth Raflewski. We appreciate taking the time, just chatting, going over some fun stories and learning a little bit more about you. So, looking forward to maybe catching up in the future. But for now, take care, and we appreciate the time.
All right. Thanks a million.